what I think about Rapaport. It sets a baseline for the standard of the industry. It's written in such a fluid way that you can interpret it high, you can interpret it low, but it gives some people a benchmark to at least start from. Instead of just being totally thrown to chaos, it gives a starting point.
Well, this is a great opportunity to get a very singular view on what's happening in the diamond business today. So I always add it to my must-do list when I come to Las Vegas every year.
The subject on honest trading that came throughout this year was very important. After all, the consumer spending a lot of money and they would like to get the real thing rather than an inflated grading. So the leadership of Martin Rapaport was really appreciated. And his honest grading report, you know, I have a copy of it and I show it to my customers. So I was very, very pleased. And other than that, of course, his overall leadership in the diamond business is well appreciated. It keeps us informed. I'm a member of Rapaport, and I'm excited about this morning's what he has to say about the current events.
This is going to be a very interesting morning for you all. I will try not to move too fast and speak like I'm a speed talker from Brooklyn. First of all, I'd like to say good morning to everyone. Welcome. It's nice to see you all here. I know there'll be people walking in. Feel free to wander about, grab some food or whatever you need to do during the presentations. I'd like to take a moment to thank. I'd like to thank Sherry Hendricks and the entire Las Vegas Rapaport team. I'd like to thank all the members of my team that have come in from overseas as well to help put this together. And you think of Rapaport, but in fact, there's a lot of people that make what happens happen at Rapaport. So I want to thank those people. And what we're going to do is we're going to provide a little bit of a background about Rapaport, a brief overview of what's going to happen. Then I'm going to introduce Stephen Lussier, the Diamond Dream, who's going to talk about that. And, you know, in the Talmud it says that if you've got a person who's your rabbi, you're not supposed to speak in front of him. And Stephen is really, I think, in my introduction I'll say this, but he really, really is the top guy in the world for diamond marketing. So in my talk today, I'm not going to talk demographics and emotional demand like I usually do. I'm going to leave all that for Stephen. I'm going to speak after that, the diamond industry, and then there'll be some time for some Q&A. We're starting now at 8:15 on time, so that's a good sign right there. The background for the Rapaport Group. Okay, the Rapaport Group is basically, you know, we don't really buy and sell diamonds for our account. We handle lots of them, billions, but we don't trade on our own accounts. We're an added value service company. We're established in 1976. We've got about 220 employees around the world. Basically, if I can remember this, Las Vegas. We have an office in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, New York, Antwerp, Ramat Gan, Mumbai, Surat, Dubai. One of the few people with offices in Israel and in the Gulf, and Hong Kong. We have about 20,000 clients in 119 countries. This was updated today. But I think the big message is that we have a value system, like we believe in something other than just making money. And I think everybody who wants to be successful in business should consider that approach. What do you really believe in? You want to make money, fine. You want to have a business, fine. But what do you really believe in? What we believe in is ethical, transparent, competitive, efficient markets. So that's ethical, fair, transparent, competitive, efficient markets. And everything we do, if you look at that, you will see whether it's the price list or RAP, and I'll talk about all of those things point in the same direction. Information services, the Rapaport price list, Diamond News website, news, analysis, online magazine, Real Magazine, which we have, I think we're giving out today here, and a weekly trade wire that reaches 80,000 people every week in 102 countries. So we have a pretty big reach that way. RapNet is this diamond trading network. It's the largest in the world, 14,400 members in 90 countries. Daily listings of 1.4 million diamonds worth over $8 billion. That's a lot of diamonds. So we got a whole computer team working there. They're keeping track of all these diamonds. But the big deal with RapNet is it gives you price information, availability information, and global connections. A lot of people have used RapNet to reach out and meet people in different countries over the internet. Rapex is something we'll talk about briefly today. It's a whole new world. And it's going to be giving you bid-ask prices. Well, I don't know you. It's going to be giving the trade bid-ask prices. guaranteed delivery and payment. So it's bid-ask. You won't just see asking prices like you do today on RapNet. You'll see bid prices, people willing to buy stones, fixed, guaranteed prices and stuff. So we're kind of reaching up, and you'll see how that works into the presentation today. We do diamond grading and gemological services. We run GI Lab Direct in Israel, Belgium, and India. We interface with them, and we do about $2 billion in our own grading and other grading of values of goods. About $2 to $4 billion that's coming and going. And so we're handling about $4 billion of diamonds every year. Not losing any, thank God. That's a lot of diamonds. So we have a lot of touch with the diamond business, and so we have a lot of interactions with the physical stones and everything that's going on with treatments or whatever have you. We run an auction business. We're the largest recycler of diamonds in the world. Approximately 60,000 carats a month. And we auction diamonds, recycling, a lot of recycling diamonds coming out of America. There's more diamonds coming out of probably the United States and South Africa. There's a lot of little old ladies out there wanting to send their grandchildren to college. And if you look at the demographics, baby boomers, a lot of people are going to be recycling diamonds. Some of my jewelry friends and people who have jewelry stores tell me that they're sourcing maybe 20%, 10 to 20% of their goods right off the street. So buying diamonds for jewelers, wonderful idea. And we're running an auction service that gets fair market value for these products. So there you have it. Information services, electronic markets, diamond grading services, and diamond trading services are the things that the Rapaport Group does. We do a lot of other things, but we're not going to get into all those details. Those are our main, 4 divisions. Now, I'd like to cover a couple. Here's a funny story, okay? It's very important that we see things from different perspectives as I give the presentation today. I may say some things that'll upset some people maybe, but I respect them, and it's okay if people have different views. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this, okay? Everybody hear the phrase, the early bird gets the worm? Everybody hear that? And what we mean by we say, look at different perspectives, we're obviously saying the bird's great, he got up early, right? But tell me, if we look at it from all the perspectives, what about the worm? Guy gets up, boom, he gets eaten. So you got to think of all the angles, all the stakeholders in the industry. Could someone tell me if it's fair for the worm? Is it fair? It's not fair, right? But the story about the worm is that the worm didn't get up early in the morning. He was wiggling home after a night of partying. That's why he got eaten. Okay. But there's different perspectives on things. A mining company generally is not going to look over the horizon of their business to really understand what's going on at those 18 inches to the consumer. Not going to happen. A guy who's a diamond cutter in India, a diamond manufacturer, he sees his world, it goes around his belly button. He's not going to understand the perspective of the jeweler looking to sell that engagement ring and the emotions and whatever the jeweler is selling. So people are going to see this industry different because they have different horizons. And it's important for us to recognize that as we talk about this whole big, beautiful industry. It's not just one view. There are many dimensions to what's going on. So as we talk today, this issue will come up. And also, we have to not be judgmental. I know sometimes I'm judgmental, and God knows people are judgmental about me. But the idea here is no blame. We're not going to get anywhere by just blaming everybody. We need to do different things in different ways. And I think we have to be pretty strict about things like overgrading, etc. But the trick of us is to understand things from the other people's perspective and move forward and not spend our time blaming everybody, being upset at everybody, stopping, We have to do the right thing and move forward. So the blame game isn't going to work out. And I will talk about that in specific things. One other thing I wanted to mention before we introduce Stephen here is, there's so much going on. There's so much happening. And how can you kind of put it together? This diamond industry, it's global, there's so much going on. So I want us to start thinking in a sort of compartmentalized way about the things we're going to be talking about. Short-term versus long-term. Short-term considerations, what do I have to do today? What's long-term? For example, let's say I'm looking at, first of all, short-term and long-term, and then there's internal things that are happening within the industry versus external things that are happening outside. So, for example, an internal short-term consideration of where are diamond prices tomorrow? What's available in the market? Is supply less because 2 sites ago there was 300 or whatever 30% of the goods were left on the table. And so there's less goods in production in India, so that's short-term analysis. But how about like external global changes? What's the ruble like? Ruble went down, now the ruble went up, oil prices went here. Those are things that have nothing to do with the diamond industry. They're short-term changes and they affect our business. So when you're trying to understand what's going on in the diamond industry, get this, out of this world, like see, I'm looking at planet Earth, seeing the whole world, look at the diamond industry as this whole big thing. Separate your short-term understanding of what's going on from your long-term, and separate those things that are happening within the industry compared to things that are happening outside the industry that are affecting us. Long-term considerations, right? An internal thing might be finance, which is not going to be a short-term thing like the yen rate, of the rupee or the renminbi or the Chinese currency. Technology is changing rapidly. And it's affecting us internally as well. Sorry about that. I meant finance is local finance, but technology. New ways to grade diamonds, new ways to treat diamonds, new ways to use the internet to communicate. And synthetics is a good example of long-term considerations, constant change, cat and mouse game. Treatments, even more than synthetics, are long-term considerations that you have to have when you're in the diamond or jewelry business. And finally, external things like the diamond dream. How do you create more demand for diamonds? You can't do it in a week. You can't do it short term. It has to be a sustained effort over time. So you got that little background for me. I'm going to introduce Stephen Lussier. Now, Stephen's an interesting guy. First of all, he's the executive vice president of De Beers. He's the CEO of Forevermark. 1981, MBA from Columbia. 1985, started working in De Beers marketing. DTC director in 1995. 2002, DTC executive committee. Then De Beers executive committee in 2005. 2009, CEO of Forevermark. 2012, executive vice president De Beers for marketing. Now, that's 35 years, guys. 35 years in this industry, working for De Beers in marketing. Where did the three-stone ring come from? Pretty good idea, right? Stephen. I mean, you worked with the team. Came from him. Tennis bracelets, which we took for granted when Christy, whatever tennis player, dropped her tennis bracelet. Stephen picked up that tennis bracelet and ran with it. Solitaire necklaces, Journey jewelry. I have some stuff about Forevermark. I don't know if it's the most current, but 34 markets, 1,540 retail stores. So Stephen's definitely one of the biggest and best people in the business when it comes to understanding the consumer and understanding marketing. And like I said before, the Talmud says, don't talk in front of your rabbi too much. Well, Stephen is, I think, mine and a lot of people's diamond marketing rabbi. So I would like to invite Stephen up here, give him a big hand. Stephen Lussier, thank you for being here today. Listen carefully to what he says. Here comes Stephen. All right.
You might be surprised, some of you, to think I'm up here on Martin Rapaport's stage. There's, some things that perhaps Martin and I don't have completely in common. I think, for example, as you see, I've worked 35 years at De Beers. I've done that because, on the whole, I think De Beers has been a pretty positive force for good in the diamond industry. But I sometimes think Martin thinks we're the Darth Vader on the Death Star. As a marketing guy, I'm very interested in mystique and magic and secrets and all the things that make diamonds excited. Martin's pretty keen on transparency, whatever that might lead us to. So we don't always agree on that. And in the end, as you can see, I'm 6'3", white-haired, calm New Englander. And Martin's not calm. So you might say, okay, why am I here? I think despite our differences, over quite a long period of time, we've had areas where we find we have a fundamental meeting of the minds. Martin and I have long talked about the importance of integrity within the industry and the risk that a lack of integrity across our industry could, the havoc it could impact upon us. We've often talked about responsible sourcing, and we come at it from different ways, but we've got a fundamental agreement that if that issue isn't addressed, we're going to have a problem. And the other area we've talked about actually for a long time, I can remember having detailed discussions with Martin 10, 15 years ago, is this whole area of the diamond dream and consumer desire for diamonds. And at De Beers, we have a simple statement. We say that all value in the diamond business, all value emanates from the consumer's desire for our product. Without that consumer desire, there would be no investment in exploration, there would be no investment in new mines, no one would build any stores, none of us would have anything to do because there would be no one willing to pay for it. And that's unlike most any other mining product. If I look at gold, for example, gold has a huge market for investment. If I look at platinum, they have a huge market around catalytic converters for cars. If I then start looking at other mining things, iron ore, et cetera, they're disconnected from the end product. It's not their problem. In the diamond business, all of our value comes from the luxury market of precious jewelry. I'll define luxury for you a little bit, but the core to me around this concept of luxury and our product is what we call these words, the diamond dream. And what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about is what that dream is, what it's been for our industry, what it means to our industry, what are the components of that diamond dream. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the things I think we all collectively will need to do to preserve that diamond dream in the years ahead. It's strong today. When I walk around, I feel a lot of nervousness about it. Actually, I'm more confident. I think it is strong around the world today, but we take it, if we take that for granted, we do so at our peril. We need to earn it, and we need to earn it with each new generation of consumers. Now, I haven't got time today for a history lesson. Diamond Dream goes long back into the past, but I do want to pick out two dates in particular that I think are crucial to what we today think of as the diamond dream. That was 1939 and 1947. What happened in 1939? Harry Oppenheimer, the then young heir apparent as chairman of De Beers, traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, met an advertising agency named NWR, and decided for the very first time, really in the history of luxury marketing, to promote desire for the diamond product. Up until that point in time, all mining companies took demand as something not to do with them. They could control or influence supply, but demand was just something that happened. And luxury products then thought if you advertised and promoted a luxury, you would kill the demand for it, because luxury should have an inherent demand and not need promotion. We only look now at Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all the rest of the powerful luxury products and realize, well, that was an idea before its time. But Harry had this idea. He went to Philadelphia. He hired NWR, and the marketing of diamonds and the creation of the modern diamond dream began. And in 1947, Florence Garrity. I don't know how many of you have heard that name before, but if you're in the diamond industry today and you're making a living out of the diamond industry today, you probably pretty much owe it all to Florence Garrity. Florence Garrity was a young female copywriter, and in 1947, in the middle of the night, so goes the legend, she penned the words, now immortal in the advertising industry, "A diamond is forever." And why was that so powerful? Because she was able, in just those very few words, to encompass everything there is about what we now think of as the diamond dream. And I'm going to take you through what those key elements of the diamond dream are, but just as I walk you through them, just keep thinking, it's all summed by this simple idea of a diamond is forever. So, okay, what is a diamond dream? If I asked many of you in the room, What is it that you sell? You probably start showing me product. You'll probably start talking about, if it's diamonds, clarity grades, if it's jewelry, designs, what makes your product a little bit different, and probably pretty quickly you'd get to, at what price does it sell? And that's not the diamond dream. The core reason that the diamond market is as big as it is that we sell not products, we're actually selling the consumer an idea, we're selling them a symbol, we're selling them the dream. And if we don't sell the dream, over time, our market will disappear. So what is in this dream? What are the elements of it? I'm going to run through each one, but there are 4 key ones. Universal symbol of love, an elegant symbol of success, elegant being the key word, timelessness, the ability of a product to endure over time, to mean the same thing over time, even across generations. And lastly, the concept of a store of value, enduring value, something with a material worth. And it was those 4 things that Florence put together and summed by A Diamond is Forever. So let's look at each one. Universal symbol of love and commitment. To me, this is the bedrock of what makes diamonds different. It is our competitive advantage in the whole world of luxury goods. Lots of luxury goods can say, I'm successful. Lots of luxury goods can say, I have money. They can say, I perhaps have taste or not, depending on your view on those luxuries. But they don't say, I am loved and I am committed in a way that a diamond does. I'm going to tell you a story to illustrate these. I always think that stories are a better way to remember something than just the words. And this comes from a marketing failure. And sometimes you learn a lot from failures as you do from success. When we were looking at the American market about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we saw rising divorce. So a lot of single men around, single men with money, single men with girlfriends, and we thought, here's an opportunity. If we can persuade these single men to buy diamonds for their girlfriends, we can open up a whole new market, not have to wait for them to get married. So what did we do? We created some great concepts. We went into a room, focus groups. I was behind the glass mirror, and they had these 13 men, mostly in their 30s, early 40s, all sitting in the room. And we're introducing the concept, talking about diamonds, and the woman starts by saying, what are you going to give your girlfriend for Christmas? And the guys are saying all sorts of different things. And finally, one guy says, I'm going to give her some diamond earrings. I'm sitting behind the glass mirror. Yeah, I'm now excited. Finally, some guy has put forward the idea that we wanted to do. And at that moment in time, what happened? The other 12 men in the room said to him, whatever you do, don't do it. They said, give her a Cartier watch instead. And I thought, disaster. But when you thought about it, what were they saying? They were saying, it's not about the money. The Cartier watch probably costs as much as the diamond earrings. It's not about the money. Then one guy articulated it. He said, if you give her the diamond earrings this Christmas, it's going to have to be the engagement ring next year. Because by giving those diamond earrings, you are sending a message of commitment. Powerful thing. So, we dropped the marketing idea, but we learned the lesson. We have a powerful differentiator around the concept of commitment and love, and we must never lose it. The bedrock of what is the modern diamond dream, and it's as true in Beijing as it is in Boston. It's a universal truth. Elegant symbol of success. There's no doubt that diamonds, because they're expensive, communicate to the greater world success. And that's what symbolic products do. They communicate. They talk on behalf of the person who's wearing them. They say something to people who see them. And the diamond's message here is, yeah, they are expensive. Yeah, you have to be successful to own them. The bigger they are, probably the more successful you are. They send that message, but they do it in a way that is elegant. Huh? People don't say about someone wearing the 1-carat diamond on their ring, ooh, you know, she's flashy. No, no, a diamond isn't. A diamond is always elegant. I'll tell you another great story to illustrate that. I was there again to see it with my eyes. I was in Milan, having meetings with the team in Milan. We went for lunch. The team said, oh, we're going to take you to a quick sandwich in this deli around the corner. In we go to this sort of deli, sandwiches and things of that sort. It's full of Italian women wearing jeans and T-shirts, having a sandwich. But in their ears, 2-carat solitaire diamonds. Whackers. Nobody in that room says, that looks inappropriate. She's wearing those huge $30,000 earrings with jeans and a T-shirt. No. Now, if she were wearing something else that cost $30,000, people might have said, oh, what's she doing in a deli wearing all that money? It's show-offy. But not a diamond, because it's an elegant symbol, and we need to maintain that sense of elegance. It makes us different than other luxury brands. Very powerful. Timeless. This is probably true of jewelry in general, but I think more true of diamonds. Diamonds have the ability to hold within them and to pass from one generation to the other memories associated with the gifting occasion that occurred. Very, very powerful concept. I'm going to come back to this concept when I talk about some of the challenges from competition with technology and experience, because this is a big strength, but we must keep it. And again, I've always got a story to illustrate every example. This one's a bit more personal on timelessness. And again, it's that bloody Cartier watch keeps coming up. I have 3 children. My youngest son, who's now 11, when he was on his way, so to speak, my wife said, you know, I've had the 3 boys. I want a diamond Cartier watch. I want this Cartier watch. I wanted it for a long time. I want you to buy it for me when Sam comes into this world. So, you know, like a good father-to-be, you agree to anything. Yeah, absolutely. You can have the Cartier watch you've long wanted. About a month after Sam was born, I was sitting with my wife in the cinema, waiting for the movie to start, just chatting while and she said to me, you know, about that Cartier watch. And I said, oh, yeah, Christ, 1 month later, I haven't got the watch yet. I said, don't worry, you know, we'll go out this weekend, we'll get the watch. And she said, you know, I don't want the watch anymore. I said, well, you've been going on about this watch for months and months. What do you mean you don't want the watch anymore? She said, I want you to buy me a diamond instead. Now, she has a lot of diamonds, so it's not that she needed another. She said, I want you to buy me a diamond instead, because when Sam gets married, I want to give him that diamond and say to him, your father gave me this diamond when you were born, and I can't do that with a watch. I can do that with a diamond. It's a timeless, it's like a vault that can hold these emotional memories. That's part of our dream. And lastly, a store of value. I don't want to go on a lot about store value. Martin's already touched on it a little bit about recycling. And store of value, I don't think is a motivator for diamond purchases. You don't buy a diamond for an investment unless you're in that really sort of very high-end investment area. For most people, you buy them as these emotional symbols. But it's important, particularly for the man who's spending a lot of money, that he feels assurance that he's got something that has an intrinsic value. And it's important as we go forward, particularly in the world of recycling, that we make sure that people get fair value for the product. It's not an investment. I've spoken to a woman, you know, she got the diamond 30 years ago. Her husband bought it for her. She didn't even really know what it cost. She was about 75. She wanted the cash. She went in to recycle that diamond. And she came out happy. Now, did I say what's the retail price? What's the wholesale price? Did you get was it a good investment? She didn't know that. She just thought the amount of money that she got meant that there was value in that diamond. It had value. She didn't get cheated. She got something of value, and she felt good that that diamond that she'd enjoyed all her life had an inherent value. And I think we need to make sure, as recycling becomes a bigger issue, that we keep that in mind. We need to make sure that people get value. Trade up is fantastic. Trade up, trade in. Creates that sense of value. But we need to recognize that as well. So we've got a powerful symbolic product. I wanted to take 30 seconds now to show you one film. I did this, I made this film 1 month after 9/11 to run in America, shot in Central Park in New York. The reason behind this film was we thought after 9/11, the most important time to get across this idea of the symbolism of diamonds. Didn't sell a product, didn't talk about a price, it just talked about the dream. And when people have a need, particularly post 9/11, the trauma in New York, they needed to feel that timeless dream. Let me just show you this one. I think it encompasses everything that the diamond dream is. Couldn't be more simple. There it is. That's the power. That's what we need to sustain. So I think the question for us now is how do we do that? I know Martin keeps looking at his watch. That must mean I got 5 minutes. Okay. Diamond Dream, you know, it is still alive and well. We got a lot of challenges in the industry. I'm not going to go through any of them now because I bet Martin spends 45 minutes looking at each of them following me. We all know that there are challenges, but we do have still this strong dream. What we can't do, though, is to take that dream at all for granted. You know, to give you a few figures, $81 billion in diamond jewelry sales worldwide last year, highest amount ever spent. Last year, a very difficult global environment, very fragile. In local currency terms, all the major markets grew. Not by a lot, but they all grew. There's still health there. The bridal business, still a powerful foundation, still powerful. It represents somewhere between 25 and 35%, depending on whether you're in China, Japan, the US, of the total market. More importantly, it's a bedrock for the dream, because that's the one occasion where it's all there. Acquisition rate in America for young brides, 81% in the last study, been constant through there for 30, 40 years. It is solid. Cannot take it for granted. I'll come on and talk about the millennials, but the platform is good for us. And when we look at some of the developing markets, which obviously over time are going to increase, you know, we've got a reasonable spread of demand today. America is about 42% or so of world demand. China, Greater China, somewhere around 18%. And then we've got a lot of around 10s, India, Japan, the Gulf. So we're spread reasonably, a little bit, maybe a little bit American weighted. But in the big developing markets, China and India, the #1 desired gift of all luxury products is a diamond. Today, we're highly desirable. In America, diamonds remain the king of the jewelry sector, the #1 desired gemstone. So we're not in a bad place. But as I said, we've got a few significant questions. The biggest one for me, summed up by this: how do we ensure that that dream remains in an environment which is different? Okay, we've got the millennials. We know this is a new generation that needs to be taught this dream, needs to be engaged in this dream. And maybe we don't have the tools that we had historically. We have to engage them without the large De Beers-funded category growth campaigns of the advertising campaigns of the past. We need to find a new way to teach them about this dream. We've got a new challenge that we didn't have before from technology products, particularly amongst the millennials. Experience and technology are creating a new battle. I'll talk a little bit about what this battle is. It's the battle between enduring timeless luxury on the one hand and disposable fashion and, in effect, short-termism, coolness on the other hand. We need to win that battle to keep the dream alive. As I said, we have to do that effectively as an industry as a whole, as opposed to a reliance, as we did in the previous generation, on a single player to take on that task. But it can be done. I put an action plan here, relatively simple, 4x4 things to do. If we do these 4x4 things, I think we've got a good chance of success. Number one is we need to really, at all costs, defend the core symbolism of diamonds, our core strength. I talk to a lot of people, jewelers, who say, oh, you know, we need new ideas in the market. We need to develop some new things to get new people in. We have the single most powerful need in the world to be loved and to demonstrate that we're loved and to be able to demonstrate commitment. This is a universal need. Every culture, every generation. The millennials aren't like anti-love. It is a powerful thing for us, but we need to make sure our product remains that symbol for them. The need is powerful. Let's communicate around it. We need to engage in this debate of timeless luxury versus disposable fashion. You know, this debate now is crystallizing in the watch business with the Apple Watch and the luxury watch category. And it's not a battle for time. It's not about who's going to tell the time. It's about a battle of who's going to own the wrist. Who's going to get it? Is it going to be long-term luxury, enduring timeless objects that rise in value, or is it going to be cool products that you throw out 3 years later when the next one comes? Who's going to win that? What we have to not be shy about is that there is an inherent value in our long-term luxury. You know, just go to an art museum and see Renaissance painters. People value things that endure. We haven't to be shy about it, but we need to put across the benefits of it. We need to win in the digital space. It is obvious to me. This is where the millennials live. We need to be extraordinarily good as an industry in social marketing and the digital world. It's a great opportunity for us. It costs a lot less than national television. We got a product people are interested in. They're willing to spend the time. It's a great medium, but we need to be expert at it, and we need to expert at telling stories, which is what you do in social media rather than advertising. It's a storytelling medium. And lastly, we need to fight for the interests in the industry. What do I mean by that? It is about integrity. If we take shortcuts on integrity, we are going to blow up that dream. It's like a balloon, you know. When you pop it by acting in a way without integrity, you can't blow it up again. And who knows when is the last, you know, dart to throw at that, the one that's going to pop it. We need to become far more aggressive in the industry at fighting for integrity and rooting out those who are undermining the integrity. That will end the dream amongst the next generation of consumers. And what are the 4 actions? I think we got to invest in strong brands. We need the brands to do this emotional work for us. Brands don't sell products, they sell dreams. If we can build the brands will help us in the future with dreams. I don't care if it's Tiffany at the top end. You know, I don't care if it's mid-market, like Kay's Christmas advertising. It's emotional. It's getting people into the dream. We need more of those. And the consumer's going with us. In America, the last 2 years, those number of consumers who said they bought a branded diamond engagement ring increased by 50%, and we're getting close on half the total now. In China, it's already 79%. In Japan, it's 81%. In the bridal sector, it's powerful, but it's good for us because it helps sell the dream. It's not for everybody. Please don't all think you're going to run out and start brands. You'll lose a lot of money, and that's the worst thing we can do is lose money. We need to be efficient. But for those with the capability, it's important. Secondly, we need a dramatic improvement in the quality of retailer marketing content. And I think this is not that hard, because it doesn't require a lot of money. You're already spending the money as retailers. But when I go to the newspapers, I see product, and I see it at a price. And often I see it at a discount. And often it's a low price. I don't see anything in there about the dream. You need to think as retailers, you've got to help create this dream. You need content which is emotional and reinforces the dream in addition to showing the product that you have. People won't buy your product if they don't believe in the dream first. Midstream is the hardest. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the midstream, they're not retailers, where really the marketing is, what do I do if I'm a midstreamer? You know, there are a few good brands that have emanated from the midstream, and that's fantastic, and you have that capability, but as I said, it's not the answer for almost all of you in the room. It's very difficult, it's very expensive, and it's easy to fail. So I wouldn't advise that that's what you should be doing. I would suggest you think about the difference, though, between being the trading mentality, which has dominated our industry, and a supply partner mentality. And think about what can I do as a supplier that will help my retailers or my brands, customers, what can I do that will help them be more successful? You know who does this fantastically? DuPont. DuPont doesn't sell any end products. They create Teflon and nylon, so their customers can create products that succeed. So, from a diamantaire, can I create a differentiated product? Can I do something to help my customers create more margin, create more interesting stories to tell? Can I have a better service? Do I sell the diamond to that brand when it's scarce, or do I sell it to somebody else for $1 more because I can get an extra $1? But actually, I've undermined the brand player. But it is a two-way street, so retailers, if you've got a supplier who's helping you, don't you chase the last dollar as well. You back him if he's backing you. That will create an environment where we can see. And lastly, of course, you know, I've talked about De Beers not doing the category role. It doesn't make economic sense for us, but producers do have to do their bit. I'm pleased we announced earlier this week, the Diamond Producers Association. You know, it's not going to be back to the past. It's not going to do what De Beers did, but it does create a vehicle where producers can contribute to this mission of consumer desire as well, working with other interested parties across the group. So, you know, that's it in a nutshell for me, 4 by 4. A single question I would leave you all with is this one thing. Everything you do, every decision you make each day, ask yourself, is that decision I make going to make this woman proud to have that diamond on her finger for the rest of her life? And if you do anything that if she learned about it, would not be proud of that diamond, don't do it. Don't do it. That's the biggest risk to the dream, and that's the easiest thing for all of us in this room to get right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Fantastic. Really great. And I think the point here is that, you know, we think about numbers and prices, and I think what we really need to think about is what is the idea behind the product. And I was always impressed when Stephen said to me, look, you're not selling diamonds. You're selling the idea, the gift of love, the gift of commitment. So when you transcend to the idea, then you've got something completely different. And that is something we can really sell tremendously well. So we really need to think, maybe now I'm going to talk about commodities today, I'm going to talk about pricing in the market and all these different numbers. But it's kind of getting a jolt. I feel myself jolting a little bit as I start moving to the next slide to talk about numbers and how much we have. Because my role, a little different than Stephen's, is to take a look at the whole diamond world, identify some of the key factors affecting us in the market these days, and really look at how maybe the branding idea or the marketing idea fits in as part of an overall picture. But to do that, we really need to get a bird's eye view of what the diamond industry, and I'm going to kind of go there. I feel almost sad about that because I'd love to talk about emotion more than I would the real market, but there are things going on in the real market that if we don't pay attention to, we'll be in a lot of trouble. So we need to have one foot in the emotional world and one foot in this reality world of what are things going, are we making profits, what's happening in our industry. The diamond trade, and these are very woozy numbers because we're still looking at them, roughly you got about $16 billion of rough coming out of the ground, 21 billion or so of polished. Actually, that should be 5 billion. Those numbers are slightly wrong, I just realized now. And about 60 billion of jewelry. Just to give you an idea. So what we've got is about $48 billion of added value that takes place in this industry. Don't look at the percentage numbers because actually a little bit less. It's only about 5 billion instead of 4 billion. It's about 44 billion. Sorry, I did the slide recently. Bottom line is there's about $44 billion of added value sitting in our trade. Now, the thing that's happening is that the rough markets are very consolidated. If you just look at De Beers and Alrosa, you're talking, and I know Steve and I have different views about that. Let's say you're talking about, my view, about 81%, his view maybe 70%. Bottom line, though, is there's a lot of concentration. 6 or 7 guys are really dealing with about 90% of the world's rough diamonds. So it's a very controlled, and not evilly controlled necessarily, but it's a very narrow source of goods coming into our industry when we talk about diamonds. 96% of the goods maybe with 8 companies. You want to disagree. 90%, 85% if there's a lot of alluvial diamonds. But the point is, very strong concentration. Now, if you take a look at what's happened over the past few years, this tells you what came out of the ground, which is that blue line, which is the dollars in terms of the sales, and the red line are how many physical carats were mined. So the same amount of carats, you know, if you take a look at, say, 2000 or so, 2008, you see they're kind of roughly even. But since then, less diamonds coming into the market in carats for a much higher price, which means that rough diamond prices have gone up tremendously since 2009. And the problem is that polished diamonds didn't go up the same way. So ideally, it'd be great. Rough goes up, polished goes up, everybody's happy. It'd be wonderful. But that's not what happened. So rough diamond prices went up, and polished diamond prices sort of, well, rough kind of stabilized, you could see from 2011. But polished diamond prices went down. So if you're cutting diamonds, you're in trouble. You take the rough, you pay a high price, you get the polished, and you can't make any money. I know everyone's been fetching and complaining about this for years, but you know, the rubber's hitting the road on this idea. People get upset because they take a look at De Beers profits and they say, my God, look at De Beers. You made so much money, that blue line is going up and the red line is going down, and that's prices. It's not fair, but take a look at the De Beers thing a little more carefully. For many years, they lost money. Those negative numbers, minus 400, minus 600. So when you look at the mining business, it doesn't really make that much money all the time. From 2005 to 2009, if we combine the amount of money made by De Beers and Alrosa, they'd sold $44 billion worth of diamonds with 729 profit. They lost a lot of money, only 1.6% margin. And then you can see these recent years, they've been making money, combining them both. I mean, you can look at them separately, but I'm combining them both here. So you should understand that the rough business isn't necessarily evil. They're saying, oh, these rough guys are taking all the money, they're not leaving anything over. But guys, be realistic. If you're the guy in De Beers and all these guys from India or whoever are giving you money, which you're not going to take the money, be realistic. They come up, they offer you money, they say, I want to buy these goods, I'm willing to pay for them, here's money. You can't blame De Beers or Alrosa for taking the money being offered to them by the diamond manufacturers. You know, it's business. And so there's this idea of short-term versus long-term. What should we do? Short-term, everybody's economics, take the money and run, whatever. But what is the long-term impact of doing that? What happens to this industry if there's no profits year after year after year for diamond manufacturers and we start building bubbles here? And I'll explain that in a minute. So what we've seen is, we've seen that in the demand side, I mean, the supply side, you've got the story of rough being sold, 13% profits the other year, 15%, whatever. And now on the demand side, it's interesting. You see, there's been a 29% increase in, say, polished diamonds to 16 billion just from these 3 markets. But the United States hasn't been growing and actually declined last year. What we do here is we look at all the diamonds coming into America, all the diamonds going out of America at wholesale prices, what sticks? So America has not been growing that much. A lot of the growth came from China, which is stalled. So, you know, if I said, I'm going to sell you rough, it's expensive, but wait, don't worry, polished prices are going to go up, China's going to be buying a ton of goods, no sweat, well, that's not going to happen. Not so quick. I hope it does, but realistically speaking, they're up to 12 billion. I think that everyone's expecting China to be weaker. So when we look at the diamond market today, we can't be sure that polished prices are going to increase, and therefore we can pay whatever we want for rough. We have to get into a more mature, stable environment here, and we have to be careful what we're doing so that we retain our money. The U.S. net diamond account looks like it's a little bouncy over there, 3 to 4 billion. It's okay. It's not a bad business. This doesn't include recycled goods in America. So a lot of jewelers was probably selling about $1 billion worth of goods. But this is the off-take. This is how much diamonds disappear into America, so to speak. So we're not rocking like crazy. We're nice. We're mature. We're doing okay. I think we're steady. I'm very, you know, that's wonderful. But we are not rocking like this Apple Watch I have on. Oh, wait, but here's a Rolex. But where am I going with this? But this is rocking, the way to get it. I'm not saying it's better than diamonds. Don't get me wrong, everybody. It's not what we have, it's what we do with it. I'm saying to you, we're a mature, stable thing, and we need to kick some ass if we're really going to make diamonds rock. Now, so what's my point here? And we have a structural problem. Rough prices exceed polished, so there's no profit. Now, why does that happen? The idea here is that there's too much credit, specifically in India. I mean, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So the Indian government says, we got about 1 million people cutting diamonds, say 400,000, and this one's managing or whatever. So there's about 1 million people in this diamond industry, supporting families, etc. And we want it to go. So we're going to give these guys a lot of credit. The government's going to say 1/3 of all, you know, banking has to go to approved industries, and this is an approved industry or whatever. And so a lot of money gets poured into this Indian diamond story. And since there's so much money, prices of rough go up because everybody wants to spend money. I got the money to buy rough. I'm going to spend it. What am I going to do? The bank gives me money? And people aren't thinking that when the bank gives the money, they ever have to give it back, by the way. You know, you gave me the money. Thank you. You want it back too? You got to be kidding me. I just rotate it. You know, I'll go to another bank. I'll go to someone else. But the idea that this is not your money doesn't really work sometimes in India and other places where I don't think the people have the money to give back. But anyways, the bottom line is the government, those out there, makes a lot of money available to buy the rough diamonds. Rough diamond prices go up, and then everybody's manufacturing these diamonds. How they're going to sell them, who they're going to sell them to, they don't know. First of all, we have the money. And now there's like these 500,000 people in Surat. There's people that are eating, they're living. And you have to be sensitive to these people because this is how they make their living. Now, what happens is that if you keep your manufacturing going, the bank keeps supplying you money for the rough. As one banker said to me, he said, listen, as long as my client is breathing, I don't bury them. As long as they're buying and selling and doing and coming and going, you know. But if they stop manufacturing, this credit thing stops. And then they're in this whole big nightmare of how are they going to pay back the money and what are they going to do? So there's like a double whammy. Too much money drives too much high prices for rough, which means you can't make money manufacturing. And then since you got to keep manufacturing to stay in this little rat race, you're making too much polish, which pushes polish lower. So if they stop providing all that money and they stop chasing the rough prices so high, either they'd produce less rough, hopefully, or not produce less rough, but the rough would be sold, but they wouldn't be so expensive, then people could make money. So what we need to think about over here is stopping the reason that rough prices are too high, which is to cut back on credit in India for rough. It's got to happen. And if they're worried that, oh my God, we're going to stop with this rough, the whole industry will collapse, lend money for polished. Not too much polished, and not necessarily to the Indian manufacturing sector, but if you're worried, what you need to do is you need to have this major shift from rough to polished. If they keep providing excess money for rough, and if rough continues to stay higher than polished, this industry will go bankrupt at the manufacturing level. It's physics. It's simple. Cannot sustain itself much longer. And there's a lot of reasons for that having to do with alternative ways to borrow money and what happens when the goods turn into polished. But there must be a connection between polished and rough relationship in prices, and this is a structural problem in the industry that needs to be addressed pretty quickly, forthwith. Guys are running out of money. Oh, did I turn it off? Good grief. Here we are, we're back. So what can the mining companies do? Well, there's basically three options. They can do nothing. Just keep selling, the banks keep giving money, and then wait till people to run out of money or the banks stop giving money. Then rough prices will crash, markets will implode, a big bubble will burst. Not a good idea. We're weird. Today we can't be in a position where we do nothing. You know, you can't sit there and you're selling Rolex and you're totally going to work, you're going to disorient yourself from the Apple Watch. Technology is moving. Markets are changing. Consumer demand, millennials, things are changing. You cannot simply live and do nothing different. You've got to think, what can I do that's different? So let's look at the option for the mining guys. Reduce rough prices, which would theoretically increase the profitability in the trade. Well, it's hard for them to reduce prices. But find ways to ensure trade profitability. Now the question is, if rough goes down, will polished follow? Key question. Everybody's concerned. In other words, does the polished market sector, do diamond manufacturers know how to make money? Can they hold back? Can they say, if something cost me X, we're competing to sell, but I'm not going to drop my pants, I'm going to hold back, and I'm going to make money? Everyone's concerned about what would happen if rough prices come down like they eventually, I think, will. Will this cause polish to come down? Personally, I think people know how to make money. I'm not that worried. But it's a big question in everybody's psychology right now. It's what's cooking in the... You want to know what's really going on in India and in Tel Aviv and what people are thinking. They're worrying that if rough comes down, what's going to happen to polished? You jewelers out there, don't sweat it right now. It's not the end of the world. I don't expect huge crashes. But it's cooking behind in the background. It's creating aggravation. It's creating concern. Another option is to simply keep rough prices high. The amount of goods coming into the market will get less, since high rough prices means you can't keep manufacturing. There'll be shortages. They say that 2 months ago there was a lot less goods that were bought in rough, 30% say. People said the rough's too expensive. They didn't buy the rough. They didn't manufacture it, so shortages started appearing in the market. Now, there's shortages, diamond polished prices can go up. So the thinking here is reduce polished supply by keeping, by keeping rough prices high. Polished prices will come up. Invest the profits in polished promotion. So what I would say is this: if in fact the bears, other mining companies see that they're getting good profits, reinvest it. Put in 3 to 5% of your revenue into half generic programs, and I'll explain that in a minute. So the idea here is that we have this structural problem in the industry. It doesn't affect retailers yet directly, but I'm telling you it's cooking back there, and it's creating a lot of turbulence that you're going to start to see at the retail level as well. You just have to be aware of it. Don't freak out. Don't go nuts. I don't think that polished prices are going to crash tomorrow at all. But there's a lot of concern in the cutting centers and in these markets. And you should be wondering what you're doing. There's also what I would call a political problem here. The cutters want to keep the old system alive. You know, everybody's used to doing business a certain way. They want to keep doing it that way. They don't want to change. People don't want to change. So they're thinking, well, don't do anything too different. Keep buying. We'll get some credit here and there. There's big problems with credit, not only because of the issue of the profitability. It's hard for a bank to lend money to a company that's not making money. And they've been, moving money around, doing all kinds of invoicing to all kinds of companies and playing around. They're kind of running out of rope in that story. Also, I don't see a big boom in foreign demand coming. I don't think China's going to turn this year yet. So this idea that you could just stay with what you had isn't going to happen, which means we're going to have change. Markets are running out of money in credit facilities. So there is going to be opportunities here for people that have money. And there's also a lower price expectation among dealers. Dealers are saying to themselves, well, do you think diamond prices are going to go up or down? And what should we do about it? And how should we react? This is driving a lack of confidence in the market right now. And there's this feeling that there's no price floor. So they're like, you know, you take a roller coaster and you're going down and you go, oh my gosh, we're going down, and you don't know where and what. I don't think the movements are so volatile right now. They're not. Polished prices have stabilized nicely. I think that after what happened a couple of months ago and uncertainty and the decline of China and stuff, I think things have kind of calmed down. I would look at diamond prices today and say they're stable. The trading volumes are off, and people are concerned about a floor of diamond prices. So these structural problems need to be addressed by our industry. And the big point is we can't just ignore things. We have to move forward. And I guess you're here today at this breakfast because you'd like to get some insight to what's going on behind the scenes in the diamond industry, and that's what I'm trying to give you now. Now, there's this idea that if you put out information and people know what's going on, they can protect themselves, and they're going to be able to trade and buy and sell and do things better. The market will be better. People won't be afraid to buy diamonds in the market if they know what's really going on. So there's this big war kind of developing. A big war, I wouldn't even call it that. There's this differences of opinion about whether or not transparent competition is good or not for the industry. And a lot of the people who are in the manufacturing sector say, we don't want to see this kind of transparent competition. We don't want RapNet with competing prices. We don't want this. And they claim that transparency reduces profits. Obviously, they're paying too much for the rough, but they're figuring if people didn't know what the polished price was, or if people didn't see a competitive thing the way you would in Expedia or the way you would in other areas, it would be better. We could get a higher price for our stuff. They're also kind of upset at Rapaport because here we are telling people sometimes bad news. We're not going rah, 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 everything's great, go buy diamonds every day, although you really should buy diamonds, especially at the show. But the thinking here is, why am I not being more promotional? Why am I being more positive? Why am I not telling everybody everything's great all the time? And also I say that sometimes we drop the price list. So we drop diamond prices. That's not good. You know, no one wants to see that. And also I'm telling, don't give credit. I'm telling these Indian banks, don't give credit. So, you know, I'm not the most popular guy in the world today in a lot of the manufacturing sectors. So let's stop bad news. Let's not lower prices. I don't think that's realistic, and I think for us to have an honest market, we have to be real. We have to understand that things change, markets move up and down, and it's no big deal. And sometimes when prices come down, it's an opportunity to buy. It's an opportunity to do better deals. And so I think that we need this ebb and flow of what's going on. We should also understand that sometimes inventory seems very large because the industry has grown so much. If we're 24 billion, there's 25 billion in polished, and China was cooking, and then China stops cooking, then there's that extra overhang for a little while until China comes back in. So it's okay. It's normal. Bigger markets have bigger amounts of diamonds moving around, and we shouldn't freak out about it. We should look for the opportunity purchases. We should buy goods, and we'll do fine. Another point that I would point out to people is, what do you think the value of your diamond is? What's the value of your diamond inventory? Is it what you paid for it? People think the value of your inventory is what you paid for it? Here's another. How do you make money when prices are going down? Anybody know? Okay, well, I'll tell you how you make money when diamond prices are going down, right? The value of your inventory is replacement cost. You bought something for $10,000. The market now is at $7,000. You can replace it. That's not even 7. You bought it for 10. You can replace it for 6. You can sell it to somebody for 7. What you do is you sell the $10,000 item for 7. You replace it for 6, and you put $1,000 in your pocket. That's cool. You can do that. And that's what companies did in 2008, particularly Indian companies, and they made a fortune. They got customers and they did business. Don't be afraid of downward moving prices. What you need to make sure is that you're adding value. If you add value, the movement of diamond prices shouldn't really freak you out. You'll be fine. Just maintain a consistent added value story, added value capability. What's your unique selling proposition? Add value, add value, add value, and don't worry about prices as much. Yeah, buy them cheaper if you can get them, and add value that way. Okay? But fundamentally, I don't believe that diamond prices are the do-all or be-all or even the foundation of diamond profits. Diamond profits are based on your ability to buy the diamond, know what you're getting, add value to it, and sell it on and move it down the distribution chain. There's a story about RapNet that I'd mentioned because people listings and people are trying to list diamond prices at the full Rapaport price list on RapNet. That's okay. I love it. No problem. The whole idea of RapNet is that people should feel free to list diamonds at whatever price they want. Totally free. Absolutely. Great. I love it. And I want to tell you a forest fire story. Maybe I told it a number of years ago. Any of you guys hear the Rapaport forest fire story? No? Okay. So this is like, let's see, as he is now, 25 years ago, maybe 23 years ago. I'm going to the California, what's it called, Yosemite. Beautiful place, by the way. Anybody who hasn't been to Yosemite should go down there and check it out. And I'm at Yosemite, and I go to this ranger, and I say, I would like to see, take me in a Jeep, show me Yosemite. It's supposed to be magnificent. Show me what's going on here, what's fantastic. So we get into this guy's Jeep. He drives us, and we go out there, and he takes me to this area that's all burnt out. Everything's black. Now I figure I'm going to this amazing place. I'm going to see beautiful green trees, things, and there's sequoias around there. So I'm figuring I'm going to see all these nice sequoias. Fantastic. Burnt out. I think the guy's nuts. But he says to me, look here, he says, we used to have a policy of putting out forest fires as soon as they started. Some older guys like me will remember Smokey the Bear, right? But now we don't put out those forest fires. We let them burn. And when they burn up the underbrush and they get big. And sometimes they burn out these big sequoia trees. But here's what happens. The seed of the sequoia, which is a very small thing, it's a small seed, it pops like popcorn in the heat. And then the ashes create a fertilized field for this stuff. The big trees get knocked out so there's sunlight coming on this stuff. And all these little sequoia trees start popping up. And he shows me, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 of these little trees about yay high that are going to be around for thousands of years and will reach up thousands of feet. And they all grew and developed and are going to be magnificent because of that forest fire. So change, it's an actual story. So change, and sometimes if these guys are putting their goods up at a higher price, and then these other little people are calling me, you know, our sales are up 30% now. We never made the front page of RapNet. We never did that. So this kind of change is healthy. It's good not to freak out. Don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. It's okay. And new players come in and smaller firms come in, and there's always going to be this regenerating going on within our industry as so many people trade and they do things. So this whole problem of transparent competition has come up. It's given a lot of scares to a lot of people. But I'm telling you that our response to this is going to be to increase the competition rather than step back. So what we believe is that when there's concerns or whatever it is, markets need to operate. People need to be able to trade goods. We don't freeze. We go forward even quicker, and we accept and adapt, and we welcome even these kinds of changes, and then the markets work their way through. So we don't stop. You don't freeze. When you see things happening in the diamond markets, don't freeze up. Continue to trade. Continue to work forward. Continue to add value. So this idea of increasing transparency is something we're doing. I'm talking about it today. And, it's funny. Usually I'm talking more general stuff. Today I'm very technical. But I think that Stephen covered a lot of those areas of emotion. But I'm going to talk about this idea where we would actually know more about diamond prices by looking at bid prices. And I'll explain a little bit how that works. People complain about the Rapaport price list, by the way. Oh, it's terrible, it's terrible. But the fact of the matter is the red line is RapNet prices. The blue line is the Rapaport price list, which is a benchmark price. So we've been pretty conservative on the way down here. So we are tracking the market. But I think overall, there's a lot of room in there. So one shouldn't freak out about the Rapaport price list too much. I'd like to talk a little bit about bid prices, okay? The idea behind bid prices is that there's going to be a floor to the diamond markets. you'll know at any given time that you can sell a certain kind of a diamond at a fixed price and get your money in 3 seconds. That's what we're working on now with this Rapex thing. So we have an opportunity and obligation to create a fully transparent, competitive, and efficient bid-ask market for GIA-graded diamonds. And that's what Rapaport's going to be doing. We're going to provide an open market, which means anybody can participate as long as you're honest and straight, for qualified diamond traders to establish bid prices for diamonds with a specification. And the bids will provide a floor price, enabling market participants to gauge immediate liquidity values for diamond qualities. What we're trying to do is, here, I got in my pocket something. You see this thing? This is a $5,000 chip from the casino here. There is no question what it's worth, and there's no question that the value is there, and there's no question that you can turn it into cash relatively quickly. I'm not thinking that the diamonds will be exactly like this, but some will. And that's going to give a lot of confidence to the market about what is the thing worth. Can I sell it? A diamond is worth what you can sell it for. So we're going to put a floor into the market, and I think this is going to increase liquidity, it's going to increase trading volume, and it's going to increase confidence to the market. So what we're looking to do is looking at the diamond industry in this time of change and trying to establish baselines so that anybody that's trading in diamonds, not all diamonds, but certain diamonds, will know where they stand, and then they can extrapolate or they can look at other things. So this whole idea of having a market which is efficient is something we're going to be very involved in. Let me just stop for a minute. Are there any questions out there, concerns about losing all you guys because I'm talking so technically? Everybody with me? All right. You think it's crazy to make a bid price for diamonds? All right, we'll see. Okay. There's a big issue coming up that is a whole separate issue, and that is this idea of a level playing field. I'm trying to leave you guys with a few ideas today so you'll understand where the markets are going, where we're going, and what's happening. But this level playing field is a fundamentally important thing. We see that there are cheaters. There are people who are doing all kinds of things. They're selling diamonds, overgrading, money laundering, bribing, synthetics, mixing. Let me explain to you the problem. Assume for a minute a guy bribes a minister in Africa and buys the rough diamonds 30% cheaper. And now we're Americans, we're subject to all kinds of regulations, Patriot Act. We can't bribe people, we shouldn't anyways, but legally, you go to jail. How do you compete against the other guy that's doing that and retain your ability to stay in business? The guy across the street selling an EGL grading report from EGL International, and it's overgraded, and now the consumer is looking at an FVS2, and you say an FVS2 has to cost so much money, and then the guy says, but I can get this EGL across the street. How do you compete? How does that work? Can we have a level playing field in this industry? Can we have an umbrella that includes everybody? And if the umbrella includes everybody, then there's no problem, and some people cheat, some people don't, and we can't differentiate ourselves? Major problem in this industry today. So what do we do about it? How do we deal with this? How do we compete fairly? Well, I think it's important for us to separate the good suppliers from the bad, or from the, let's say, I shouldn't say bad, that's not fair. The good suppliers from the unknown suppliers. We need to hold the suppliers responsible for what they sell. So if someone sells a diamond and he says it's an F, and you send it back to the GIA, and it comes back as an H, then you should be able to return the diamond to the supplier and say, look, I don't know what happened here, but give me my money back. And he should give you your money back. That's the kind of thing we're working on RapNet now. We're encouraging the World Federation of Diamond Bourses and everybody to accept that idea that if you sell something, whether it's synthetic by mistake, or it's treated by mistake, or it's overgraded by mistake, because you got to know what you're selling. You'll be able to look at that diamond yourself and have an idea if you're 2 colors or 2 clarities off. You should take it back, because the idea that a person stands behind what they sell should be fundamental to the value system of our business. A supplier has to stand behind what he sells. A retailer has to stand behind what they sell to a consumer. And if you use JA terminology to describe a diamond, using that language, then you have to be able to go back to the GIA to define what that stone is. You can't say there's no such thing as a standard, I can call it whatever I want. I start my grading system with A. That doesn't work. It's not correct. So we need to have a systematic way in our industry to differentiate between people who are playing fair and not. And I think one of the ways we can enforce that is by telling people you got to take back the stuff. Now, I had this whole thing about this RJC business. And, you know, RJC, the Responsible Jewelry Council, has been around for quite a few years now. And I didn't want to join initially because, still haven't joined it yet, but I'm really probably going to. And the reason is because they had this thing like called greenwashing. Some guy goes, he gets RJC certified for this business, and in that business he's trading merengue diamonds and all kinds of other stuff. So it's kind of a funny umbrella. But then I was thinking, if we don't do good in this industry, if we don't support the good stuff, if we spend all days fighting the bad stuff, we're never going to succeed. We're never going to rock and roll. We're never going to take this industry to the next level. So what we have to figure out how to do is, you know, sometimes perfection is the enemy of good. We need to figure out, how do we support the good stuff in this industry? How do we go forward? How do we find the right way to make things better? And if RJC isn't perfect, make it perfect. If a diamond club isn't, make it. In other words, we need to take a proactive stance about what's going on in this industry to change it. I'm saying to you again and again today, don't just sit back there and take it. If we don't do anything, it's not good. We have to be proactively doing things. Okay, I'm talking about bid prices, but now I'm talking about being correct. I'm talking about having a standard for what we do. I'm talking about being audited for what we do as a standard. I'm talking about having chains of custody for diamonds. So not only do we know they're not blood diamonds, we know they're not synthetics. We know they're not treated. I'm talking about holding our suppliers to a higher level of accountability and our retailers to a higher level of accountability when it comes to dealing with consumers. You can't say, I sold them an EGO, so I'm not responsible for the quality of the diamond. I had a piece of paper. No, no, no. No paper. You as a human being sitting there selling something to someone else, you stand between the customer. You promise the person what's going on. You have a relationship with your customer. The diamond business is not just about the diamond, and it's not even just about the idea behind the diamond. It's about the person behind the diamond who's selling it, who has the relationship. We have to return to the day where there's trust and confidence with whom we're dealing. It's not just the stone, it's who you're dealing with. Do you trust that person? Do you love that person? Do you relate to that person? The cold, hard, bing, bang, boom isn't the way that our business ever was designed to operate. It was designed to operate at a high level of trust among dealers. Now, I know there's markets and A sells to B, who sells to D, who sells to F, who sells to U. But the idea of trust within our community, that was always fundamental, the foundation and the baseline of what we did as an industry. So what I'm saying now is we have something, time to join the RJC. I don't know how perfect they are. We're going to try. Other people should try. Time to join with the good guys. And make that effort to separate yourself, to have a unique selling proposition that says, I'm for RJC, standards, values, whatever. I am for chain of custody. I am for knowing where my diamonds come from. And not just because you want to sell more and you'll have a millennial customer that's very interested in social responsibility. You know, you can market the social responsibility because you as a human being want to sleep well at night knowing that when your little kid says to you a couple of years, how did you deal with the diamond business? You'll say, don't worry, I was on top of it. I made sure that everything I sold was correct, was morally, ethically correct. Because that is really the essence. If you feel good about your product, you'll sell it. You'll be so powerful, man. You'll be so into that game. You're going to be able to be so proud. And proud, you know, when I look at the millennials, one of the big things that comes up is people want to work for companies that make them feel proud. People want to be not just cool. The job isn't just about the money. People that work in your store, people that work in your company, they're stakeholders. They give their lives to what's going on in that business. They spend 8 hours, 10 hours a day. People are looking for a relationship also in the work environment, and they're looking for values. So what I would say to you is that it's important for you, I'd say join RJC, I'd say not just theoretical stuff. What I'm trying to do today, after all these years of talking, is to give very practical advice about stuff. This is an example of this Rapex thing. I'm not going to bother with it. Okay. Hallmarking. I don't know how to deal with Stephen about this because I always come up with these new ideas and a little troublemaker. Now, a hallmark is not a brand. You know, 100% wool. Some people could argue that a GIA is kind of a hallmark of authenticity, that the diamond is not a treated or synthetic. But a hallmark is something that is, I say it transcends a brand to the extent that it comes before the brand. But it guarantees a certain quality. So I'm thinking diamonds, I'm thinking hallmarks. I'm thinking, how can we differentiate ourselves? So hallmarks communicate a common product standard. This diamond meets a certain standard. It's got a gold stamp, 999 or something. You know what it is. Wool, 100% natural wool or whatever. Now the standard doesn't have to just relate to whether the content is 999 gold, the product. It can also relate to the ethical aspects of the product. This product is part of a chain of custody, and therefore it gets a certain stamp. Fair trade coffee. I'm not saying that every diamond should be fair trade yet, although it would be nice to see a fair trade segment coming up that would attract a whole new level of consumers that would give us a halo effect to counter all these negative vibrations that people are feeling about diamonds. So I think that would be a good idea. But not everybody can do fair trade. It's very complicated. But what we can do is we can start to differentiate ourselves with a chain of custody and say, I know where this diamond came from. I mean, I know the exact mine. I know the mining company, and the mining company does certain things to make sure that they're correct to their employees and they're correct with the environment, etc. So what we can do is we can segment the market by having hallmarks that say these are the kinds of goods. Like if I talk to Stephen and say, okay, do you want to support generic diamonds? He say, well, I am only interested in supporting my diamonds because he'll may say 30%, 35%, 36% of the market. I don't want to spend all this money marketing everyone else's diamonds. But do you want to sell on golden diamonds? No, not particularly. Do you want to sell a certain group of diamonds that we can all band together and say, these diamonds, these hallmark diamonds, this is what we want to sell? Possibly. So this gives us an opportunity to start thinking generic, start thinking about, okay, where do all these diamonds cooking? How does it work out? How can we have a kind of a brand which isn't a very specific brand, but is still more general? And I'm thinking about hallmarking, and I'm thinking you can brand hallmark goods, you can have generic hallmark goods, but you know what you're getting. Also, jewelry, diamonds are part of jewelry, like gold is part of jewelry. Knowing something is 999 hallmarked helps you when you make the piece of jewelry and stamp it. So you got to think about where the diamond is going and how a role it plays. And there are ways to do stuff with diamonds. So products can be hallmarked and companies can be certified. RJC, certification. Creating an improved market space for products and people. I am telling you that we are in this strange world right now where some people are trying to build umbrellas that everybody should fit under. And I don't think it's a good idea. I do not want to share my approach to the industry, my business, my ethics with people who can bribe people or people who do money laundering or people who do all kinds of garbage. That's not my business. I don't want to be in the business with these guys. I want to separate us out. I don't want to be making a market for EGLs, not EGL USA, I'm not talking about that now, I'm talking about EGL International. I don't want to do that. I don't support people that overgrade. I want to have my space. And I'm thinking that we need to create a better space for dealing with products and with people. So hallmark products from certified companies can provide a unique selling proposition that attracts premium prices. How can you add value to diamonds is the key question everyone always asks. How can I add value? And I'm saying to you, the way I see the world, there's going to be more demand for products that have this kind of certification or have this kind of hallmarking. And it's the future. I know I speak, I want to do it in 5 minutes. I'm here to talk to you about the future. I'm here to tell you where things are going. I'm here to tell you where I think there's going to be opportunities. There's going to be opportunities. Some people say, if today I try to sell it, I don't get a premium price because it hasn't been marketed. We haven't moved it as an industry. But I believe strongly that if we sell this idea of better products, hallmark products, stuff that we know where it comes from, this is not just a defensive move. It's a positive, proactive move to add value to the diamond products we sell and also to lift ourselves up as being better retailers, better suppliers, better everything. And so I'm going to be a very strong proponent of this coming up to the future. I want to speak briefly about synthetics. I keep looking at these watches. This Apple Watch is weird. I don't know what goes on. Oh, there you go. You have to give it a knock. So are synthetics a real threat to natural diamonds? Or should we just sleep? Don't sleep, wake up. I'm sitting in the airplane, flying out here, next to a guy from Silicon Valley. And this guy says to me, we start, what do you do? He's doing some super high-level software engineering. I don't know, you call them engineers, software entrepreneur is what you got to call these guys. They're all building markets for real estate or for watches or for I don't know what. Now this guy says to me, oh, I really want to buy one of those synthetic diamonds, you know. They're so exciting for me. I love them. It's technology. I'm a tech guy. By the way, a lot of these tech guys, they got a lot of money. You know, it used to be geeks were geeks. Now geeks are super cool. I was at Pooja's wedding. The Sachin was here, and I went down there, and I saw these like young Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, and there was a bevy of beautiful women chasing these guys, literally. Girlfriends, second girlfriends, almost girlfriends, friends of girlfriends. It was amazing. This is in Goa, India. So my point is, cool has changed. These guys have money, and the cool is changing. They're driving fashion also. And you got to think about this idea of these synthetic diamonds. New tech consumers want them like they want Apple Watches. And I'm sitting here with this Apple Watch that came today. We still haven't programmed it fully. Bit of a pain in the neck, actually. But I've got my Apple iPhone, and it's going to talk, and so I'm all appled up, so to speak. And that's real. It's really real. And I don't know that the gold watch is going to change. You'll just flip something inside, you'll get a new chip, and you'll have the latest technology, and your watch will literally talk to you. But, you know, things are happening around here. And I believe that technology needs to be welcomed, and we need to figure out how to deal with it. But don't for a minute think that a synthetic diamond is not going to compete against a regular diamond. It'll particularly compete if the prices are very, very high for the natural diamond. But here's the problem. If a guy gives his girl a synthetic diamond, it could ruin our business, not because he bought a synthetic, because he's busting up the diamond dream. And why isn't it a good thing for a customer to buy a synthetic diamond? If you buy a regular diamond, that's why I still have a Rolex over here in my other hand. If you buy a synthetic diamond, there's Moore's Law. And Moore's Law says that technology moves very quickly. What does it move? Every 5 years it doubles? 7 years? 2 years? Who knows? 18 months. Now, if technology doubles every 18, and they're talking about specifically silicon wafers or something, okay? But the idea is out there. What happens to the price? It goes down. The kind of computer, this Apple Watch compared to, you know, what they put a man on the moon, I think, with 4K or something, with 16K. Ridiculously small computers. So the point is that they make synthetic diamonds today, and you have DARPA, which is the Department of Defense's thing, doing stuff, and they have all this money going into synthetic diamonds or whatever man-made diamonds because they're using them for computer chips eventually or lasers or something. It's going to grow, man. I mean, eventually a 3-carat flawless synthetic will probably cost the same thing as a 3-carat cubic zirconia. So this guy's invested in this diamond for his girlfriend because he thinks it's cool and it doesn't retain value. But he loses his diamond dream. It's so powerful that a diamond is valuable. And I always say this. I say the woman wants the man to feel pain. A little pain. You bought me that diamond. It's worth something. She wants it. You gave me, you know, you gave up with 2 months' salary. God, that guy loves me, man, you know. He's showing me. I never understood flowers. You know, my wife always said. So finally, after 30 years of marriage, my wife taught me. She said, look, honey, you don't have to understand why I like flowers. You just have to buy them, okay? Now, diamonds are also, to some degree, the same story here because of the fact that they have no utility. That makes them sexier. Because, you know, you buy her a refrigerator, you know, depends where she lives, you know. Or a car, you know, that's cool. Here's a cool car. It just doesn't even come close. But retaining value and being expensive means a lot to the diamond gifting story, the diamond dream. So what I'm saying here is that if diamonds start to get replaced by synthetics and synthetics don't hold their value, we're going to start losing a stream of consumers. And these guys are the coolest consumers today. So we need to be very careful about how we relate to this stuff and how we do it. Now, there is an answer. We have to market differentiated naturals. We really got to go out there and fight and yell and scream and do whatever it is that Stephen knows how to do well and other marketing people know. We need to get out there and market. The idea that we can sit and say, oh, don't worry, they have the synthetics, you can detect them, nothing terrible. it's bad news because it's not just the attack on the existing sale. It's the attack on the concept of the diamond dream. If they destroy the diamond dream, that's a big thing. I don't mind losing sale. Okay, so this guy wants, he's a guy out there from Silicon Valley. He wants to buy this or that. You know, okay. Maybe his wife doesn't have the same techie approach that he does to being so excited about those diamonds. But I would say to you that if we don't get out there and proactively fight for our market, we will lose it. And that's the story here, whether it's credit in the industry, where there's too much credit and rough is too ahead of polished, and things are getting messed up out there in the cutting centers, and we just sit back and say, well, we'll just wait around, we'll see what happens. No good, no good. We have to be proactive. We have to create more markets. We can't just say we're going to be, oh, we don't care about this and that. Same way with natural diamonds. We absolutely must create a much more powerful way to sell natural diamonds. Now, I know that the attitude of this whole, you know, the De Beers story used to be, well, you know, you've got Smirnoff and what's the other vodka? Name another vodka here. Oh, I got to finish this. What? Smirnoff and another vodka. Don't worry, they're all advertising and branding against each other and no one's drinking wine. And that was an argument. I don't believe in that so much. I think we need to brand. I think it's powerful to brand, but I think we need to promote diamonds. If we fail to properly market natural diamonds, synthetics will destroy them. And that's my view. I may be wrong. So the answer isn't to be afraid. The answer is to sell what we have and to go further. Okay, solutions. Blah, blah, blah. Talking so much today. What are the solutions? Reduce credit for rough diamonds, increase credit for polished to maintain market liquidity. There's too much credit going to rough, not enough credit going to polished. We're sitting on goods that are in showcases. We're doing memo. There's a lot of polished out there because the manufacturers can't fire their workers. They can't do this, they can't do that. And they're hooked on this idea that they have to keep manufacturing to maintain their credit. Create a natural, ethical hallmark for diamonds. I should create an ethical hallmark for natural diamonds. Sorry, that came out. Okay. Create an auditable chain of custody standards. It's like the RJC. We've got to fight with them to make sure they do diamonds like they did gold. Apply, in addition to existing RJC standards, to put the chain of custody stuff on top of existing standards. And ensure proper auditing. It's not enough anymore to say, whoopsie, it's not enough anymore to say, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. You actually have to, it's rebooting. You have to actually go out there and do something about it. You have to go out there and proactively take steps to ensure that you can actually make your market happen. I'm telling you again, everybody, I know I'm very calm today. I'm not yelling and screaming like I usually do. It's a serious issue that we have to move forward in a proactive way to ensure that what we say is true. There are too many people that just say things, it's okay. I signed the box, I did the check box, I'm okay, without really deeply digging down to the story. And I'm saying the mining companies, because they're the guys that get the money in the end. We make money adding value, but the fundamental value of diamonds, when the prices increase, tends to go to the mining companies. They've got to invest. And they can limit it. They can say, I'm only investing in diamonds that come from these 3 or 4 mines or these 3 or 4 companies. But the absence of generic or quasi-generic marketing is a huge threat to this industry. And we need to think about that. We need to push it. We need to fight for it and make sure that we are, in fact, marketing our diamonds. Don't take the engagement ring for granted. It's true. Stephen says it's a great thing today. I am up to my ears in tomorrow. And I'm telling you guys, we really need to be more personal, more connected, and much more marketing has to take place for diamonds. Don't take the wonderful business we have for granted. Finally, create a differentiated market for certified companies, not just certified goods, trading hallmark diamonds. Resolve the level playing field problem for goods and people. We cannot build this umbrella and everyone in the industry can come into it. And I'm not against people who say, I don't know where my diamond came from. They're fine. Let them go. Let them do business. But I think that we have to have a market for people who say, I do know where my diamonds come from. I do know who my supplier is. I do know that they're not treated or synthetic or misrepresented. And I know. It's the positive approach to knowing that's so important. And we're creating a bid-ask market for GI-graded diamonds. Now, conclusion. The diamond grade is undergoing a period of extreme uncertainty and danger. You may not feel it here. I'm telling you that's what's out there. But please don't freak out. You have a customer, service them. You're buying a diamond, that's good, wonderful. Don't lose faith in diamonds, please. That's not why I'm here today. I'm just telling you there are issues. The diamond trade cannot afford to do nothing. The trade is strong enough to take the necessary actions. We can actually come out stronger from this because the challenge is there. We react to the challenge and then we do things. Trade profitability and confidence in diamond prices must be restored before the trade runs out of money. So, you know, people are afraid to trade this and that. I'd like to see us move to profitability as soon as possible. Mining companies have to take proactive measures on an urgent basis. Actually, everyone does, because you need to think about now the synthetics or treated diamonds coming through. We must create a fair, transparent, competitive, and efficient bid-ask market for hallmark diamonds. Fair markets and honest marketing will create increased confidence and demand for diamonds. So the idea here is, look, I know that today wasn't my usual let's tell some jokes and let's tell some stories stuff today, and I was very technical and not the usual funny guy I am. Truth is that our industry is really, really going through some changes. We have to start becoming very serious about what we're selling, what our product is. We have to know clearly what we're selling. And the other thing is we need to put our heart and soul behind our product here. Sell the idea, no question. Make sure you know the product, no question. But I think the most important thing about the diamond is who are you who's selling the diamond? Guy once said to me, I said, could you trade fancy shapes on ramp? And he said, you know, fancy shapes, all kinds of shapes. He said, sure, if I know it comes from this supplier, I know it's a well-cut fancy shape. That's the idea. If someone buys from your store, they should know they're getting a very good, not just deal in terms of money, a good quality product. They're getting the real thing, okay? And I would say to you that as we look at all kinds of diamonds and all kinds of people, being real is the key to your success in this business. Being real about who you are and what you know, not assuming, not just letting things float. But the more problems and the more uncertainty there is, the greater there is for need there is for good jewelers to stand up there and say, hey, I'm adding value because I'm dealing with this uncertainty and I'm laying down the law and you can trust me. And trust, trust, trust. If you ask me, trust is probably one of the most important products, one of the most important added value things that we can sell in our industry. When you combine trust with diamonds, that's when we hit a home run. Thank you all very much. And we're going to do some Q&A. This is a wonderful opportunity to ask Stephen questions. So everybody, come up to the mics and ask your questions. Don't be shy now. I think we have another mic in the back over there. If you don't ask questions, I will. Anybody out there? Okay. Stephen, where's the next three-stone ring going to come from?
It's a good question. I think that we've learned over the past 20 years that one of the things that drives store traffic and drives, as a result, market growth is new product innovation. And I think what we've seen recently is that that's been a bit fragmented. So people are developing new products, but not necessarily with the scale they need to get the message out. And we do need to find a way, aligned as an industry, to be able to align behind these initiatives. So it's one of the things that we discussed when we were, the mining companies were talking about the concept of the Diamond Producers Association. Is this an area we can develop knowledge, trends? It won't be, I think, to the miners to do it in the way it was done before, but if we can develop those sort of lighthouses that the industry can, in their own efforts, align around so we can get some scale, get some excitement, then that's a proven traffic driver and a proven market growth driver.
We know that you need a tremendous amount of critical mass to penetrate the consciousness of the consumer the way the three-stone ring did. And I'm just wondering if there's enough unity in our industry to be able to drive that. I mean, De Beers played such a positive, role, directing everybody. So you want to market, guys, market this. And there was enough marketing going around that the thing took off. And like you said, now I'm questioning, do you think this new Producers Association will be able to get the critical mass of energy together? And
I think it could be an initiative which, it's not going to do it on its own. That's the reality. But it perhaps could provide the impetus and the desire and the determination, I guess, to organize together with all the industry bodies who are interested in this subject. I have a lot of people who say to me, oh, we'd be interested in that. We'd like to help this You meet the Indian Trade Association. They say, we're interested in supporting things. It needs a little bit of leadership in order to get that alignment. But I think there's a lot of willingness and I think an increased recognition that some sort of idea leadership is needed.
Are we leaderless today?
If we can find that, then I think
Are we
we'll be
leaderless
good.
today?
I think we, certainly when it comes to consumer marketing, I think people are doing their own thing, and they're doing it effectively. There's a lot of success stories, particularly in the branded area. And it's, when we look at the independents in the U.S., it's why De Beers is pushed forward with the Forevermark program, because we think that the independents need, in a way that the big chains or the big global brands don't need, they need that organizing scale element. So we think we're providing some leadership, but I think there's opportunity for greater alignment. And if we can focus that from a marketing idea on some winning products, it's going to be good.
You said that GIA is not a brand.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. And, it's a point I make often, and I don't want anyone to, as I say this, to think that there's any way, I'm in any way being critical of what the GIA is doing, because I'm not. They do a very professional job and a very valuable service. But I've seen jewelers, particularly, rather than talk about America, because you guys probably know it better, I go to India, for example, and I see jewelers there who say, I'm a GIA store. What does that mean? Huh? Because they're defining their brand position based on the fact that they sell a product with a particular grading cert. And I tell them, it's not a brand, guys. The GIA will grade any diamond. They don't select the beautiful ones. They grade any diamond, and they will make that grade available to anyone. So if you build your whole brand on the concept that I am a GIA jeweler, meaning I am somehow someone special, you better think what you're going to do when the internet player bases his business on selling GIA certified stones, because you've just got yourself in a very serious position. So I'm not saying don't use them, because they're very professional, they're very high quality, but don't use them as the basis of your brand positioning, because you're just setting yourself up for margin disaster in the years to come.
Questions? Guys, come on. Everybody's
I have a question.
Good, please.
I was curious, has there been a study done how millennials value diamonds?
Yes, there's, and I think increasing work. It's never easy research to do, I should say, because people, depends on what, exactly what age group. People in their teens, the attitudes they have in their teens are not necessarily the same attitudes that they have 5 or 10 years later. There's a period of rapid change in someone's life between, in those sort of 5 or 10 years. So it's not easy to do. What we do know about them is that they're not anti-commitment. They're not anti-love. It's a powerful need to them. Relative to the generation before, they're a little more interested in experiences, so we have to work hard to communicate to them the lasting value of products. But if effectively communicated, they're very keen on it. But, you need to work and you need to put forward your point of view. They're also extraordinarily more interested in the whole area of responsible sourcing. And when I talk about responsible sourcing, I don't mean just a non-conflict diamond. I mean, what positive thing, what proactively positive thing did this product do? They want to feel proud of those products that they have. They want to know that those companies from which they're buying and sourcing are, doing something positive for the world as well as making money. And that's a much stronger motivation, and it's why I think when Martin talks about the importance of integrity, this is going to be something that's far more important amongst the millennials as they move up into the key diamond buying modes than we've had to deal with in the past.
Next question out there.
Aside from discounting, which of course no retailer wants to do, what do you suggest, or what is some of your advice on promotions and events? You want to drive a special event.
I can't understand you. If you just speak a little clearer, louder or something, or
For a special event or promotion.
For what?
For a special event in a
Yes.
store, in a retailer, or promotion, what do you recommend or suggest to add value to the consumer aside from discounting? What have you seen that works the best, that does not undermine the product, undermine the value, but gives a good reason and urgency to buy today?
special events in the store?
Yeah.
What should they do? What's the best way to have like a special event in the store?
Wow, that's a broad question. The biggest answer, I think, is to make sure that you're doing something that creates something new for the consumer. I mean, the last thing the consumers want to do is to be invited into a store and then, you know, they get a glass of wine and it's all the same product that was there the last time they went in and they think, well, why did I come? So it's a little bit about focusing on innovation and creating a new experience. It can be product, so you may bring in something that you don't normally have. So there's something new, a sense of newness when the customer comes in. It can be a theme which is different. I know in Forevermark we've been working on themes around the sort of diamonds for good concept, so articulating some of the good that diamonds do in the producing countries. People are interested in that, engaged in some new topic, and learning about diamonds in a different way. It can be about something educational about what makes a diamond, one diamond more beautiful than another, and why the diamonds in your store are more beautiful than diamonds with the same certificate that are on Blue Nile, for example, or in some other channel. But make sure you just do something that is showing that customer something that they had not thought of before they came in that day. Got to be innovative and creative.
Thank you. I just had a follow-on. How do you address discounting at an event? What do you find is the most effective way to do that? Product
differentiation. You've got to be able to articulate why your product is different. It's why I get as hung up as I do on jewelers who are basing all of their own trust, customer trust and brand on certificates that are uncontrolled distribution, because you're just creating a generic platform under which you're going to be undercut by someone who can do it cheaper than you. And it's why I think you've got to find a way to demonstrate that your product is different than someone else's. And it's interesting from the miner's perspective, from De Beers' perspective, we need retailers to make a good margin. Martin talks a lot about the industry margin. My worry is about retailer. I worry a lot about retailer margin, because if we can't make decent margins on diamonds, and we haven't got time to go into all the reasons why they've been under pressure, but if you can't make a margin, it means you're not going to be able to create a store environment, invest in the store environment that creates a luxury experience that's going to compete with that Cartier watch store or that Louis Vuitton handbag store. If you can't create a decent margin, you're not going to be able to invest in the diamond dream marketing that I think retailers have to do. So we won't have a distribution channel for the diamonds that we mine unless we can find ways to create a differentiation opportunity for retailers to make a fair margin on the diamonds that they sell. So it's an area of focus for us, but you've got to differentiate. If you sell the same thing in the same way as a discount player, you're going to just cut your price.
I know there's two more questions there because we're almost overboard. I do want to ask one question. Should jewelers brand themselves and their store rather than products? How can a jeweler, I'm an independent jeweler and I would like to brand my store. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I don't think the two things are incompatible. And I think you need both. It depends, to be honest, where you are in the chain. If you're a big chain, well, okay, you've got a good position. If you're, a Tiffany, it's straightforward. If you're an independent, you don't have the marketing muscle on your own to compete with the big chains underneath you with big marketing muscle and the international brands on top of you with their marketing muscle. So you need to do two things. Of course, a retailer has to have a reputation for the trust with the consumer, for serving consumers well, and for having quality product. And if you call that a brand, I'm with you. You better build your retail reputation in your community. But I think increasingly as an independent, you need help. And that's where the product brands design, whether they're jewelry design or in Forevermark's case, diamond brands, and there are others as well, they can provide you with the marketing muscle that you will struggle on your own to do. So, you know, when we designed Forevermark, we designed it in such a way that it needs the retailer brand to add the creativity and innovation to the product and to create a unique experience. Because we realize to succeed, both have to work. You need a strong jeweler brand, and then as a strong brand, you need products that aren't competing with you, but are supporting you in your effort to get the margin that you need on the diamond product.
Next question. Guys, we're not going to have much time because we have to run soon. So,
my name is Brian Gavin.
Go ahead.
And I want to address this to Stephen because we talked about the GI lab not being a brand. De Beers created its own lab to market the Forevermark. Would De Beers open the lab to the general trade?
Yeah, I mean, our focus today is on Forevermark, and we do grading for Forevermark, but we do that only for Forevermark diamonds. And why do we do that? You know, it's interesting. Some people say to me sometimes, how can you do it? You know, you're not independent. And I think to myself, I may not be independent, but I'm responsible. Huh? My brand depends on its consumer franchise, on me doing things right. And actually, I want that responsibility. You know, if I say a diamond is something and it isn't, I'm responsible. It's my fault, it's my brand, and I feel that's actually stronger than a position that says, oh, it needs to be independent. Well, independent, I don't feel so responsible. I'm responsible to the customer. So we felt it right that if we were going to sell a branded product, that we take full responsibility for all elements of it, and our brand stands behind it. And if I fail to do that effectively, you know, if my grading isn't right, well, then I deserve the pain that comes with a brand not delivering to its customer. So, you know, that's where we are today. We're using all of our capacity today in that way. We've just opened another facility in Surat, and you know, when we build up Forevermark and we get it to the point where we think it's got its distribution right, then if there is benefit we can provide to other jewelers with that competence, then, you know, it would certainly be something that we would look at doing. But it's not on my top priority list
What's the lowest color and clarity you would have for Forevermark?
You know, on clarity, we go down to eye clean, so an SI, and on color we're a little bit. I'm still battling my own team on color. My own view on color is it's not a quality. I know different people have different views, but I think that the quality is around the natural transparency of the crystal, the rough crystal. The quality is around extraordinarily important around the cut, and clarity is clearly a quality, particularly when you can see it. When you can see it, it becomes a quality issue. When you can't, it's a rarity value benefit. But to me, color is like a preference. Huh? What do you like? You know, some people like blue-eyed people. Some people like brown-eyed. Some like blonde hair. Some, you know, color is a preference. So we go further down in color. We don't go all the way down today. We go down to, I think, to L. But you know, my own view is over time we should get the industry to recognize that color is a preference, not a quality, and be pretty open-minded on color.
We're 2 questions out, so I don't know who the last 2 were, but I can only take 2 more. As it is, we're 10 minutes over. So,
can I just make a comment on the millennial subject?
Yeah, quickly.
I am a millennial, and if there's one thing I can tell you about millennials, it's that half of us can't tell you what we want to do with the rest of our lives, but we can tell you what we want when it comes to material purchases. Most of us have spent a minimum of 4 hours online and in stores researching exactly what it is we want. And we go into a jewelry store and we're told to purchase what they have. Can I just give some advice and say, listen to us and change what you have? Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you. Thank
advice.
you. Next question. Short,
Yeah.
please.
I'm from India, sir. My question is to Martin. I heard from a friend in New York regarding 580 pieces diamond which are overgraded by GIA. RapNet has banned EGL for this overgrading. If GIA feel guilty, what would be the step for RapNet?
Any diamond that is overgraded, whether it's from GIA or elsewhere, should be immediately removed from the trading network. And when GIA let us know these grading report numbers, we immediately remove them. So I think that the deal is that we have to not provide an opportunity for anyone to misrepresent the quality of a diamond. I think that there is a one color and one clarity tolerance that we have to look at, because even though the same lab can do it, but I don't have any preference for GIA or other people other than to say we would use the GIA as the standard bearer, and if a diamond showed up and there was a question about whether that the color or the clarity was wrong, we'd send it back to the GIA lab rather than some other lab to tell us whether or not the diamond in fact was within the range. But you know, I'm pretty confident that the GIA knows what they're doing. They may make mistakes, and in this case, when you saw those diamonds coming through with the misgrading because of a new treatment, that's going to happen. But I think our power as an industry is our ability not just to make mistakes, but to correct those mistakes. Or as Harry Oppenheimer once said to me, and I think this is a great way to close this discussion, I met Harry Oppenheimer in 1982, I think it was 84, when there was this great diamond conference in Israel. And at that time, I was wearing a bulletproof vest because diamond prices kept plummeting, and some of these people literally wanted to kill me. So I took his hand and I put it on my chest and I said, I'm wearing a bulletproof vest because you're messing up diamond prices. That's what I said to him. So he said to me, he said, listen, what should the policy of Anglo-American and De Beers be? Should our policy be never to make a mistake so we don't innovate? No. Should our policy be to repeat our mistakes? You can't do that. The policy of Anglo-American De Beers should be to make new mistakes. Now, I'm not saying that the GI should make new mistakes, but I am saying that technology is advancing rapidly. And to some degree, we're going to find ourselves in a position where there's going to be questions and problems. The challenge for our industry is to correct itself, say, okay, to be transparent, to name the people who have a problem, which I was very pleased with, and to withdraw those diamonds, have them regraded, and to move forward. So, like I said, perfection is the enemy of good. We need to understand that technology is going to challenge us, but then we need to be able to correct ourselves on a continuous kind of a basis. And Savile says we have to close. Thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you, Stephen. Absolutely wonderful. I want a picture with Stephen as well.